Well, welcome back, everybody. My name is Jason Smith. I'm the GM of Financial Services here at Simpro, AKA the Payments Guy. And I'll introduce both of us since our MC is on a break. So Mr. Carpenter, hopefully everybody's all jacked up on sugar and evidently took a whiz. So yeah, my name is Jason Smith, and I have been in the payment space for a very long time. And the last several years, working with a lot of the trades and adjacent services to really help optimize cash flow, to help get payments operations in these components in place. And with me, Ash and I will take you through some of the best practices, what we're seeing, and then break it into a Q&A. But ultimately, as Fred said this morning, everything that we think about or do or talk about as it relates to financial service, payments, however you want to break it down, that quote to cash process, it really truly is about helping you all, optimize the cash flow, but really increase that profitability and that growth of the business. But let's start with some of the ugly truths about cash flow. It is, if not the number one challenge facing SMBs today. Late payments or delayed payments even is not annoying, it's existential of how we look at it. Getting paid quickly is truly what enables businesses like yours to grow, to scale, and to focus on those aspects of the business, not chasing invoices. But as we look at it in some of these reality, literally 3 out of 4 businesses are hurt by late payments or delayed payments. On average, roughly, there's about $35,000 tied up into invoices and this process. And what is absolutely crazy for most of you in this room, owners, back office operators are spending significant amounts of time chasing payments on a daily, a week, or weekly basis. Let's do a quick show of hands, and let's be honest here. How many of you have spent time in the last week or so chasing outstanding invoices? Oh, giddy up. I thought I was going to have to make a joke here. That is amazing. If we can help reduce that amount of time, reduce the DSO and a lot of the components to get you paid faster, you guys are, again, growing the business, but also getting more time back in your weekends. That is time spent on growth. And one of the key reasons to this, and Fred talked about it this morning, about the 35 plus different components or solutions that are in the field service space. I'm being very simplistic around the payments component. On average, what we see is each business roughly has about 4 different disparate platforms. Quoting, scheduling, invoicing, payments. And what is absolutely, and none of these, or most of these, do not seamlessly talk to each other in a simplified, seamless way. And what is absolutely crazy is toggling back and forth between these disparate systems to do invoicing, to run the business on the core elements, literally is taking 4 hours on a weekly basis. So you start 54 hours times 52, we're really getting up there. But how do we really think about eliminating some of these challenges? And again, I'm looking at it from a payments perspective, but it really is, what we've done here is about building it in for the trades. A couple of things, 4 things. Invoice, get paid, and reconcile. All of these quote components, or quote to cash as we call it, all living in the platform that you're using to run your daily business, where you're kicking out invoices. The second piece is you don't have to juggle between tools. Customers want to pay you inside the platform that you're using, which is absolutely amazing in streamlining the operations. Third piece is it does simplify and reduce that pain point of getting paid faster. Faster payments means stronger growth of the business, more profitability, and more insights into the data. And again, the last one is meeting the customer expectations. Ash and I have talked about this over the last couple of days a lot. Customers don't want to think about how they need to pay. They don't want to understand that, oh, do I have to pay a check, do this, that, and the other. They just want to pay for the amazing job and the work that y'all have done. And as we look at this, we are always talking about future proofing. It's not about what we've done in the past, it's about where we're going. And Fred and Jason P. and everybody hit on this. It's not just tomorrow's financial services are faster, bigger, better, faster, smarter, stronger. Today's systems are. And as we look at the click, and as we look at this, we are always thinking, and I have literally spent, 100 customers in the last few months talking to you all about what do you need, where are you going, how can we help you, what's next? And we've literally launched products in the last couple of months that were not on the roadmap previously because it's based on this feedback. But a couple of critical things to think about as we talk about future-proofing. Customer expectations. I talked about this a second ago, but it really is about paying digitally, paying instantly, however the customers want to pay. You, all of us walk into coffee shops, tap to pay. Walk into a hardware store, tap to pay. I don't think about that process. And the second piece is the back office automation, AR reconciliation. These components are so much more automated today as they're built into the platforms, the operating platforms, and it's saving hours upon hours. And as important, it's eliminating a lot of the human error. And lastly, and most importantly, we've talked about this, and this is a theme throughout this entire event, the financial tools should live right inside your operating platform. Essentially, your platform, the Simpro platform, becomes your financial hub of anything and everything that you're doing, not just from a payments perspective, an invoice perspective, and a quoting perspective, but also what's next. You need access to capital. Consumer financing, insurance, all of these things that even Fred was talking about as part of this financial hub, it needs to be easily accessible and in a way that you guys can don't have to really think about it. And also the reality is this, the payments as they're built into this workflow, you're not just getting paid faster, it's also leveraging that asset on a proactive basis to help drive that profitability. So you don't really have to think about it. And the results speak for themselves. You're unlocking cash flow, 40% few overdue balances. You're saving up to 40 hours a week in chasing these invoices. You're closing more jobs faster. And it's not just about closing the jobs faster, it's about leveraging the tools to help everybody up and down the food chain within the organization to increase overall efficiencies. And lastly, it's giving you the predictability to understand where the payments are, where the outstanding invoices. Ash pays in on time every single month. I might be a little bit delayed. You have those insights. You're able to have that predictability, and essentially, I always joke, you're going on offense versus being reactive on defense. And that's why we built Simpro Payments. Builds here. That's why we built Simpro Payments. And, I am not oblivious to the fact that you all are coming to Simpro or Aeroflow because of the payments. I would love it, but I'm not delusional. But we have taken it upon our shoulders to ensure that it's kind of an afterthought. It's kind of a set it and forget it. You're leveraging the platform. You're using the tools and capabilities that we have built into this to help you increase that profitability. And again, I do talk about quote to cash. And it's already in Simpro today. You can literally go in there right now and add Simpro Payments. It's in the dashboard. But we do talk about from quote to cash. Everything is living in one place. Second piece is field-ready tools that let you get paid and let your customers pay you from anywhere. Whether it's over the phone, it's in the payment portal, it's tap to pay in the field. These components, and this is what I'm talking about future-proofing, continually adding upon new innovations into the system on your behalf. And it's also about offering up any and all payment types that are emerging or your customers want to pay you with. Credit cards, direct debit, digital wallets, Apple Pay, Google Pay. excuse me, card on file, recurring billing, and payments. And most recently, we launched Buy Now, Pay Later. So all of these things, and what's next? We will continue to evolve and add, and you will see them in there without even thinking about that. And the last piece is, and I always talk about this, is pretty much set it and forget it. That's how we think about it. We want it to be extremely simple for you all to run your business. Payments used to be a bit of a painful process. Because of embedded payments in the last several years, it's gotten much more simple and streamlined. That's what we've built into here. So, as much as I would love for you all to come and say, I want to go to Simpro because payments, it's not the reality, but it should be an afterthought and it should help you grow and scale. And again, we're not trying to turn y'all into payments companies, but we want to enable you to get paid like one. We've talked about this even from same-day payment or same-day settlement or funding. We're looking at new things to give you more data and insights into this that Ash and I will talk about, but automated payment reminders that you can set when that invoice comes in, but also being more predictive and proactive. Before you finish a job or one of your engineers finishes a job, add the payment link into that even before you've gone out to the job. And the results matter. I've talked about these. I don't want to belabor it, but 15 days decrease in time of an actual payment. Like, we're working with our customers to help create KPIs for them to increase the overall operational efficiencies, reduction in overdue balances, billing and collections time, and that time that the back office is spending, significant reduced so you can leverage those resources elsewhere, and adoption rate. We see that customers want to pay in a tap to pay. They want to pay via a pay now button. So we just need to continue and work with you all to figure out what's next. So with that, there we go. So with that, I really, we want to have a nice fireside chat here with Ash. I'll let him introduce himself. But really talking about taking a lot of these practices, putting them in the real world of how they've done and grown the business. But Ash, why don't you introduce yourself now that, our MC's not here?
Absolutely.
And a little bit about the business, what's going on.
Sure. So I'm Ash. I'm the head of commercial and systems for O'Brien Electrical and Plumbing. We operate under the O'Brien and Laser brands here in Australia and under the Laser brand over in the New Zealand market. So over 200 companies in the network. Lots and lots of people, hundreds of staff. So payments for us, we're a network of small to medium-sized contracting businesses. So being part of a bigger network, I've seen businesses that do payments really well, and I've seen lots of businesses that don't do it so well, Jace, over the years. And certainly for companies where this is not their strength, they're the ones that aren't growing. Their cash flow is all stuffed up, and it's really preventing them from growing as a business.
It's interesting. You've been a customer of Simpro for what, 14-ish years?
2012.
2012, and I think one of the things that you were discussing last night as we were chatting, you used to build these individual components yourself, manage them, grow them, and then you saw the light and went to Simpro.
So through the late 90s into the early 2000s, we used to build our own software in-house back in the day. Very much a small operation doing it way back then. But when we moved to Simpro in 2012, there was lots of synergies for us as a business. And I was involved in the project to do the switchover for that. And we haven't looked back.
And it's interesting, in full disclosure, earlier this year, O'Brien, Ash, and the team added Simpro Payments for their customer and their community. As you think about adding new modules, if you will, or components, how are you deciding to figure out what's next? I mean, we've got everybody in the trades here is always thinking about, all right, you guys have figured this out. What's next?
We're always on the lookout for the next thing, right? And it was through our customer service team through Simpro that got us onto the Simpro payment side of things. We've been using other platforms for a number of years, and they came to us in one of our review meetings and were like, hey, you guys aren't on this yet. why not? Why aren't you coming across? Here's the benefits. So yeah, for us, we're always looking for something new, and yeah, I think that's been really exciting this morning, hearing from Fred and Jace as well around the future and what's happening in this space. So yeah, certainly I think, partnering with people like Simpro, we don't have to be the font of all knowledge in our business. We've got a whole network of 200 really smart people who are doing it in the field every day. So, really working with them and drawing the ideas back to the center and then pushing out best practice.
I think one of the things that you've continually talked about, at the end of the day, it may not be about the feature or the function. It's about that rollout, how you evolve or you help your customers or the individual businesses evolve from a system standpoint.
Yeah, we were talking about training last night, and when I was trying to reflect on the businesses that aren't using payments, in the field, pretty much I'd be 90% plus would be using, click to pay on their invoices and stuff. That's been around for a while now, but why aren't our people, particularly for homeowners, about 19% of our work is for homeowners. Yeah. So it's significant. So it's a lot of the business. And why are some of our companies not taking payment on site? And when I really reflected on it, and you were quizzing me on it, I think it's trust. Yeah. Our business owners and managers do not trust their technicians in the field to be able to invoice properly, let alone take a payment. Yeah. And then I was like, well, why isn't there trust? Yeah. Why don't they trust their team to do it? And it's like, well, in some cases, they haven't put the system in. So they haven't put the process in place to make that easy. And they go, oh, my techs, they're sick of the app. There's too much paperwork, too many things, the reports they've got to do. They're already taking all these photos. I don't want them to do that. Yeah. I'll do it back in the office. And when you actually dig deeper into it, you realize they haven't got their pricing tiers set up properly. They haven't got their labor rates set up properly. They're manually manipulating every single invoice when it comes back to the office. And so the technician's got no chance of invoicing it on site because it's not been set up properly. So I think once we get past, is the system right? Have you set up your Simpro properly to do that? It's then training. Yeah. And again, we've had businesses that go, oh, look, my techs, they can't do it. And I'm like, all of them? Yeah. And they're like, oh, no, we've got these 2 absolute service guns. And I'm like, well, just do payments with them. Yeah. Like if you've got 10 staff and 2 are amazing, well, wouldn't you rather get 20% of your payments immediately today and then work on the other 80% as you go? So I think for a lot of it, yeah, it comes down to trust, but I think training is a big part of it. And I think business owners and managers need to have the comfort to let go a little bit. And if they are set up properly, why can't you take payment in the field? We joked before, but I went to JB Hi-Fi, $10,000 Samsung 8K TV. You can't walk out of the store with that TV unless you tap your card or set
I'll
up
send you an invoice, don't worry.
Yeah. So, when you're working for homeowners, consumers out there, our business customers, they get credit applications and it's a big paperwork, but homeowners, absolutely not. We'd go in, we'd swap out a hot water unit, we'd replace a roof, we'd do all this electrical work, and then it's 10 grand worth of work, and you can just pay me later. What? Like, no way.
I'll send you an invoice in the mail and you can write a physical check.
100%, right? And even if it's a $1,000 job and, one of those doesn't pay you, it becomes a bad debt. Yeah. Fred was talking about the stats this morning, 10% is net profit for most businesses. We commonly see 8 to 12, so that's right on the money for what we see for an average business. So if you have $1,000 job go bad on you, you're gonna do 10 more jobs for free just to earn back that one job. So, for me, payments is so important. If you can get paid right there and then, you're totally de-risking that and making a huge difference to your cash flow.
Well, it's funny, and I won't name names, but I talked to a customer today, and they echoed exactly what you're talking about. Well, I don't really trust my engineers or techs out in the office to collect a payment on their phone. And the thing I love about what you guys have built is you are first and foremost a tech-first company. Mm-hmm. You've identified the best practices out there. You're putting them in the environment. It's not just about shoving technology down somebody's throat. It is about the training and enablement. But how do you think about, you guys are on the front end of helping evolve the trades by being tech-first, by bringing in younger engineers, tradies out there that they are digital natives.
Yeah, 100%. Your Gen Z is becoming the biggest component of your field workforce now. Baby boomers are all out the back door, and most of them are retiring. It's your millennials, your Gen Ys are all coming through, but the Gen Zs and the next ones after them, they're about to enter the work stream, and they've grown up on this stuff. So if you're trying to put them into a business and making them do something the hard way or the long way, they don't want to do that. They just want to do it on an app, do it quickly. So you'll find a lot of your younger staff are more than willing to take this stuff on. And we've had businesses that, have the old crusty sea dog still working in the business, Probably should have retired a couple of years later, but he's got amazing knowledge in the field and he's able to train our apprentices. But let the apprentice train them how to use the app. That doesn't always have to be the tradesman teaching. You can learn both ways. So that's been a real eye opener for a lot of people that these young people are smart and switched on and tech savvy. Let them lead this in your business.
Well, it's the old Jerry Maguire. Help me, help you.
Correct.
That will drive profitability.
Absolutely.
As we talk about kind of the future of payments in the trades, and again, I'm overly biased on the payment side, we talked about they're already faster, more efficient. What do you see is coming next? What do you see around the corner that can help this whole audience?
Yeah, for sure. I think probably a couple of things. The buy now, pay later thing, I think, is a massive game changer. We've tried to implement this twice in the last 15, 20 years as a business, and we've failed both times. Yeah. And we failed because customers weren't ready for it. We failed because we didn't train our people properly. And we failed because it wasn't integrated to our systems that we were using at the time. So it was, like you were saying, an off-the-side module. And I think a lot of people, the training for buy now, pay later, particularly here in the Australian and the New Zealand markets, it's something you need to be talking to the client about upfront. It's not something you offer at the end of the job. If you're offering it at the end of the job, the finance costs you've got, you don't want to wear. And buy now, pay later used to be a lot more expensive than it is now too. I've seen the new fees with Simpro Payments and it's actually pretty reasonable. You can build it in. So, but yeah, if you haven't got your processes right, it doesn't work. So I think the buy now, pay later thing, I think that's going to get more and more embedded, particularly in my space, in the electrical and plumbing, if you're going and a lot of what we do, particularly when it's an emergency or reactive maintenance, it's a grudge purchase. No one wants to pay for a new hot water unit. Yeah. No one wants to fix their switchboard that just blew up. And these are big ticket things. So if you can pay that off in 4 payments, that's going to be a lot more attractive to the customer. But if you're not offering it up front, I think a modern savvy consumer now, they're looking for buy now, pay later. It's what most young people are looking for in particular. So I think that's definitely one. And I think the other big change that's going to come definitely in the next 5 years is that cash will be functionally gone in our economy. Yep. There'll still be some cash, supermarkets, because the government's legislated that supermarkets must accept cash until they change that legislation, same as petrol stations, but I think most businesses will not offer cash at all anymore. So, people will be very, very attuned to that. So yeah, taking a tap on your phone or something like that, it's just going to be second nature and far more ingrained in particularly what we do in the trade services. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, we talk about buy now, pay later. It used to be an alternative payment, but people, consumers, and we're even seeing small businesses use buy now, pay later for purchases.
They had it at a restaurant I went to the other night.
Exactly, it's crazy.
$200, but they're offering four payments.
Yeah.
But that's how young people live now. They don't want to pay for it. There's cost of living. They want to go out for a fancy dinner every now and then and pay for that. So it's the same for you guys. If you're offering someone an upgrade on something, maybe it's the difference of it being a $1,000 job or an $1,800 job if you supply more product or offer a better installation or whatever. The customer might not accept $1,800 right now because they haven't got that. But if you can say, hey, pay it off, I think.
Well, it's a differentiator. Yeah. Like 100%. If they're doing quotes, you have that option.
Yeah, and I think for us business owners, managers, you have to look at what your competitors are doing. People are already offering this right now in the market. So, if a consumer rings up 3 people and asks them, how can I pay for this? And you're not offering it, they're not going to use you. It's as simple as that. So, at the end of the day, you've got to be leading from the front, but you've also got to follow the pack as well. And things are trending in a certain direction. There's no point fighting against it. Yeah.
Well, and I think one of the other key themes that we've talked a lot about here, you and I have talked about for a while, is leveraging some of the data and insights, or even as we're talking a lot here, AI. So if we can build more predictability into that invoicing function to understand that this job is going to cost $10,000. It's a new customer. Offer up those payment options or terms before the job is even started, because we need to move kind of that collection process at the beginning of the process rather than, hey, job's done, pay me.
100%. And you'll even find, you can do it right now in Simpro. Yeah. Why are we not taking half of the money up front? Yeah. Or, a lot of people, like if I book a hotel online,
Yep.
I pay right now when I book it. And I know a lot of us don't work on fixed rates and things change and there's variations, but can you get paid for part of the job up front?
Yeah.
So at least you're offsetting that. Again, it helps your cash flow. Yeah. Nearly everyone in this room would have accounts with suppliers that you're on 7, 14, 30 or 60-day accounts. And you're not paying your staff every day, you're paying them weekly. So, if you can get paid today or paid yesterday for a job you're doing today and you haven't paid the supplier yet and you haven't paid your staff, you're really dragging the cash forward. And we see it all the time in our network that, nothing sucks up cash like a business in growth. Like cash is literally the oil of your business. And if you run out of cash, the engine seizes up and everything grinds to a halt. And super important. And I think if you can find those ways to bring cash in earlier, I think a lot of people do so much work in our industry, quoting for the next job, doing an amazing work on the job, but then they're taking 3, 4, 5 days to create an invoice and then taking 60 days to get a payment. It's mad. You should be focusing more on doing the invoice and getting the payment rather than doing the next quote because, what's the point in bringing in another job if you're not going to get paid?
I always joke that it's not that people don't want to pay you, but for the most part, in a lot of the trades, it's so painful to pay you. Having to wait for that invoice and then it goes to the top of the pile, it's just painful. I think we have to continue to evolve and meet whether it's a business on the commercial side or on the residential side, make it as painless as possible.
Yeah, just make it easy for your customer. And that's why we will take payment in any method. Yeah. Just pay us, right now. Just make it super easy for people. And I think by giving them those options, you can tap, you can pay on credit card, it's on your invoice, buy now, pay later. You're giving people the flexibility that they want, and different people in different age brackets are going to want to pay in different ways. So just make it easy for them.
The Ash crystal ball. What do you think, not specifically payments, but more financial services or adjacencies? You look into the crystal ball, what are you seeing?
What are we seeing? What's going to change? I think this will just be, we won't even be talking about this in 5 years.
Amen.
Yeah, it will just be fully embedded for everyone, everywhere. If you're not offering these sorts of things, you won't exist as a business. So that's probably my crystal ball that, it's happening. It's been happening for a while. I think the way things are getting better and better embedded into the technology, I think is a massive game changer. I think the big crystal ball is this will just continue to get embedded more and more. And I think the expectations of all clients is, cashless, pay right now. Don't pay. You can't pay later. Unless you're on a setup for a buy now, pay later. But it's not about getting an invoice next week. The expectation from all people will be, you're paying now.
Yeah. Last question, and this is really what you've done and how you're advising new trades or new people coming into the trades. As it is probably one of the fastest growing segments on the planet. Especially, I'm coming from the United States, and everybody, the trades is really fast growing. What advice or recommendations do you have for people that say, hey, Ash, I'm thinking about starting a plumbing or electrical business?
Yeah, I think for everyone, you have to get your systems in place. You can have the best people in your business, and you can be the best leader, best owner, but if you've got, again, pardon the French, but crap systems and processes, your business cannot scale. It is just not feasible. So, I think we were talking about it last night, and I've been using this phrase for years, but it's systems, training, discipline. If you've got a problem in your business, it's one of those 3 things. But if the system or the process is not right, it's got nothing to do with training or discipline because the system's not right. If you haven't trained your people, it's not a discipline problem, it's a training problem. Then if they're just not doing it and following it and you don't have KPIs, that's a discipline problem. So, whatever you're looking at in your business, is it system, training, or discipline related? But you have to start, the system is the foundation. And that includes, how you've implemented it. Like we were talking before, you can get the best power tool in the world, but if you just leave it on the bench and never pick it up, it doesn't do much. And I think that, Simpro, we all know it's a big beast. It's complex. There's lots of things you can do, lots of modules you can have. But if you're not using them all and maximizing what's available, including things like payments, you're not really getting the full value out of what you're paying for. So I'd encourage any up-and-coming business owner or anyone that's just in a growth trajectory is, before you put your foot on the accelerator, make sure your engine's all squeaky and got plenty of oil in the machine.
I love it. Well, thank you very much. Hopefully, if you take away one thing today, is kind of embedded payments, embedded finance you really need to leverage the core capabilities of that. That will help get a couple of points on that profitability meter and enable all of you, as Ash has already seen in doing with their 200 plus companies, it is about creating those operational efficiencies. So thank you very much. Ash and I will be around, and also Amr on my team to answer any questions and help along that journey. So thank you very much.
All right.
Ash, thank you, boss.
Well done.